non-existent.
Where's the enriched uranium?
We're going to get the enriched uranium.
No, where is it? I want you to answer.
It's buried right now. But
where is it buried?
You're asking me. I'm not in the classified briefings, and neither are you. So just be quiet for a minute.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You are in for a wild one today because we have got a panel discussion that completely goes off the rails when Adam, a younger voice speaking for an entire generation tired of endless wars, takes on Noah, who is out here defending the latest military entanglement in the Middle East. And right in the middle of it, Bobby steps in with decades of experience, and Sarah, a former Republican, drops some truth bombs that nobody saw coming. You absolutely need to stick around till the very end because the moment with the polling charts at the close, it is the kind of thing that ends careers. While we get into this, drop a quick message in the comments telling me what city or country you are tuning in from. I genuinely love seeing where this channel reaches around the globe. Alright, enough setup. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, for my entire life, the United States has been at war with some country in the Middle East, and young people have constantly been told that this will make us safer and make us better off. When we look around at the world today, we are less safe and we are worse off. Millennials grew up watching all these headlines saying that Iraq had been, defeated, that we had taken out Saddam Hussein and we had killed all the bad guys. Well, that turned into a grinding counterinsurgency that cost us $1 trillion, and it was a catastrophe. The same thing happened with Afghanistan. And now Gen Zers are going through the same thing with Iran. We are watching the same people who defended these first two failed wars go on television and defend another failed war. This war is failing. We have not gotten any political concessions. And I'm sorry, I'm not buying this trust the process line. I don't trust the same people who got us into the prior wars, amassed trillions of dollars in debts, and are not putting America first on the global stage.
So putting aside, perhaps for a moment, even the politics of this current moment, I mean, is it fair for young people to have that level of distrust of the people, to Adam's point, who maybe defended the last war and were wrong and are defending this war too?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, honestly, Adam, that's immensely ungrateful to American service personnel and the people who keep us safe every day. After 9/11, it was by no means guaranteed that there would be no mass casualty terrorist attack on American soil in the immediate aftermath of that attack, especially since we had events in Madrid, in London, etc. And after the attack on Iraq and the elimination of Saddam Hussein's regime, we took a terrorist supporting enterprise off the map. We don't talk about Iraq anymore as a threat to national security because it isn't. And those who would pretend as though Iran is not a national security threat and are just frankly dismissive of the extent to which American service personnel get up every day to stop these people from executing the attacks on American and their allies that they plan every single day. This is a thorn in our side. It absorbs a lot of American taxpayer dollars, to say nothing of the energy of our service personnel. And I just think it's just ungrateful to say that the service personnel are not keeping you safe when they are.
No, I feel less safe due to the actions of our leaders. I am incredibly grateful for our servicemen. And you're doing
your feelings don't make it a fact.
You are doing
feelings the way you feel doesn't make it a fact.
You are doing. Let me finish. He was talking to me.
Hold on a second, Hal. I'll let you respond.
No one was talking to me.
Is a problem.
You are doing the exact same thing that I just laid out in the opening. You are telling young people they shouldn't be asking questions. They shouldn't be questioning the people in power because it's ungrateful.
Questions about the nature of the
Okay, then what was ungrateful about what I said? I said that the leaders are making us less safe, and I can prove that. Right now, Iran has control over the Strait of Hormuz, and that is a weapon they didn't have control of 2 months ago.
Of course they did. They shut down the Strait of Hormuz in the 80s.
You have to understand something. What Adam just laid out in that opening is not some hot take. It is the lived experience of an entire generation. Adam said this: "For my entire life, the United States has been at war with some country in the Middle East." And that one sentence, that alone, should make every single person in power stop and listen. Because this is not a kid complaining. This is somebody who grew up watching the news every single night, watching the same playbook get recycled over and over and over again, and watching nothing actually get better for the average American. And here is the part that blows my mind. When Adam said this, we are watching the same people who defended these first two failed wars go on television and defend another failed war. That is the moment everything clicked, because it is true. It is the same faces, the same confident voices, the same promises that this time it will be different. This time we have the right intel. This time we will be in and out quickly. And then a decade later, we are still picking up the pieces. Trillions of dollars gone, lives shattered, entire regions destabilized. And the people who sold all of that to the public? They never apologized. They never lost their jobs. They just got new contracts on cable news to sell the next one. And then watch what happens. The pushback comes, and it is unreal. Noah said this. I think honestly, Adam, that's immensely ungrateful to American service personnel. And let me tell you, that is the move. That is the trick. When you cannot win the argument on facts, you accuse the other side of disrespecting the troops. It is the oldest deflection in the political playbook, and it is gross, because Adam never disrespected anyone in uniform. He criticized the leaders, the decision makers, the people sitting in air-conditioned offices sending other people's kids to fight wars they cannot even explain, and Adam catches it instantly. Adam said this, you are doing the exact same thing that I just laid out in the opening. You are telling young people they shouldn't be asking questions, and that is the cleanest moment of the whole exchange right there, because asking questions is not ungrateful. Asking questions is what honors the people in uniform. It is the bare minimum we owe them.
And we opened it up in the 80s.
By the way,
there was free passage
Iran
to
with
the
a
Strait of
nuclear
Hormuz.
weapon? You think gas
months ago.
prices are high right now? Iran with a nuclear weapon, we'd have unlimitedly high gas prices. They would take control of the Strait of Hormuz, and they would blackmail the world.
And how much farther away are they from having a nuclear weapon? Where's the enriched uranium right now?
They're non-existent.
Where's the enriched uranium
We're
right now?
going to get the enriched uranium.
No, where is it? I want you to answer.
It's buried right now. But
where is it buried?
You're asking me. I'm not in the classified briefings, and neither are you. So just be quiet for a minute and let me finish.
We know it's buried in Iran.
Let me finish.
Okay, Adam,
we are more safe than we were before we took out Iran's nuclear capabilities. Absolutely more safe. The Strait of Hormuz is going to be open, and Iran's not going to control it. That is absolutely going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks or 2 months.
It does actually matter because
not.
economists are saying if it's closed for a few more months, then we're going to go into a recession. So it does matter. It absolutely does matter.
No one's predicting that because the markets that are all-time high.
No one's predicting that?
The markets that are an all-time high, the markets aren't predicting it.
With the oil markets?
The inflation rate has stayed where it is. And by the way,
what was inflation when Biden took office?
Unemployment has stayed low. So when you're talking about everyone's predicting this.
Can you look the average American in the eye?
Just to be clear, inflation has ticked up.
Yes.
It has not stayed the same. But Bobby, you were around for the politics and the conflict of the last two Middle East wars. What do you make of this generational debate about whether it's wise to be going into another conflict in this region?
Well, I can't fault the logic that when you've seen this happen through your lifetime and you're still living with the consequences of it in one fashion or the other, you're bound to be reluctant to get into the war. Nobody's disputing for the fact that for a moment that the Iranian regime are bad guys. But when you hear the president and our leadership constantly changing the explanation they're giving for why we're at war, constantly changing the timetable of how long this is going to last, and then forgetting how long it has been going on, then you're right to push back and say, kindly give us a clearer explanation for why we're there, how long we're going to be there for. It's not enough to say, sit at this table and say, it'll be over, and then the Straits of Hormuz will be open. We've got no indication of that being the case.
Okay, this right here is the moment the entire pro-war argument collapses on live television, and I need you to really sit with this one because it is iconic. Adam said this, Hal, where is the enriched uranium right now? A simple question, one sentence. And what does he get back? Stuttering, deflection, a vague answer about it being buried somewhere. And then the cherry on top, Noah said this, I'm not in the classified briefings, and neither are you. So just be quiet for a minute and let me finish. Excuse me? So, let me get this straight. You want to send a generation off to support another open-ended military entanglement in the region. You want to lecture young people about being ungrateful. You want to tell us we are safer than ever. But, when somebody asks you the most basic, foundational question, where is the actual material that was supposedly the entire reason for this? The answer is, sit down and shut up. That is not an argument. That is a confession. That is somebody who has nothing telling the rest of us we are not allowed to ask. And here is what people don't realize. This is exactly how it went down before. The same vague claims, the same trust us we have the intel, the same get in line and stop questioning. And we know how that movie ended. And then Adam keeps pressing on the economy and it just gets worse for the pro-war side. Adam said this, economists are saying if it's closed for a few more months, then we're going to go into a recession. And the response is basically, well, the stock market is fine, so relax. Tell that to the average family at the gas pump. Tell that to the small business owner watching shipping costs spike. Tell that to anyone outside of the financial bubble. The stock market is not the economy. It never has been. And then Bobby steps in and just calmly buries the whole thing. Bobby said this, when you hear the president and our leadership constantly changing the explanation they're giving for why we're at war, that is the line. Because if the story keeps changing, the story was never the real reason. And from the perspective of the Iranian people, who have been on the receiving end of decades of pressure, sanctions, regime change attempts, and now actual strikes, who can blame them for wanting to defend their own territory? They are protecting their country. They have every right to negotiate from a position of strength. You cannot bomb a country into a deal and then act shocked when they decide to control the waterway sitting right at their doorstep.
Very clearly, the administration has determined, because they've basically ended the kinetic conflict of it all, they've determined that the only way to actually get the things that we want, which is Iran abandoning its nuclear ambitions, moving away from funding terrorism, is to get to the negotiating table, which is the same truth that existed a year ago after they did the first set of strikes. So, I mean, I think that's part of the problem, is that war has not necessarily gotten us the outcome that they say that we are trying to get here.
No, and that's because the rationale for the war has shifted multiple times. No one here has ever said we want a nuclear-armed Iran. That is a red herring at this point, because it's the only talking point that the pro-Trump folks have, because they've gotten themselves into a situation that they were unprepared for. And what's incredibly ungrateful, you know who's incredibly ungrateful? Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, for the men and women who are serving in this war, who are on deployments that are extra long, who are not getting their ships resupplied, who don't understand what they're doing over there, who are being taken for granted. Our military is the greatest in the world, and the men and women who serve are the greatest in the world, and they are being taken for granted as props in a political effort by Donald Trump to make himself feel better so he can distract from everything else that's going on domestically. And now he's gotten himself into a situation where he can't even explain cogently why we're there, what's going on, and why the American people should have to pay the price for it. So that's what's going on here. I mean, when I was a Republican for many years, we absolutely looked at Iran as the threat that it is, and absolutely were trying to do things to make sure that they did not continue to be the world's sponsor of terror. But this isn't it. This is not it.
Noah, you talked about Adam, you accused Adam of being ungrateful. I just want you to look at these charts. Look at what happened to public opinion when it came to the war in Afghanistan. Was it a mistake for the U.S. to send military forces to Afghanistan? The war started out as incredibly popular, and then it became much less popular. So about half of Americans said that it was a mistake, and about half said that it was not. The same is true of Iraq. Incredibly popular, right decision, 72%, back at the beginning of it. And by the end of the conflict in 2014, it was down to 38%. Mm-hmm. I mean, are all of these Americans ungrateful? I mean, I imagine many of them they ended up tasting the consequences of the war, including the impacts on their lives, people that they knew, people who may not have even lost their lives in theater, but came back forever scarred by it. I mean,
to clarify.
Ungrateful?
And here is where the whole thing reaches its peak, because Sarah, who literally used to be a Republican, comes in and absolutely demolishes the talking points. Sarah said this, the men and women who are serving in this war, who are on deployments that are extra long, who are not getting their ships resupplied. And let me break down why this matters. This is somebody who spent years in conservative politics. This is not a partisan attack from someone who never agreed with the right. This is someone who used to be in the room, who knows exactly how these decisions get made, and she is telling you the people in charge right now are using the troops as decoration. Sarah said this, they are being taken for granted as props in a political effort. And that is the truth nobody on the pro-war side wants to talk about. You cannot claim to support the troops while simultaneously extending their deployments, neglecting their resupply, and refusing to give them or the public a coherent reason for why they are there. That is not support. That is exploitation. And dressing it up in flag-waving rhetoric does not change what it actually is. And then Sarah lands the knockout. Sarah said this: "When I was a Republican for many years, we absolutely looked at Iran as the threat that it is. This is the part that should make every viewer pay attention, because she is saying, look, I understand the concerns. I lived them. I voted on them. But this is not the way. This approach is not strategy. It is improvisation dressed up in a uniform. And here is something most people don't know. Going all the way back to the 1953 coup in Iran, when foreign intelligence agencies helped overthrow a democratically elected leader and installed the Shah, the relationship between Iran and the West has been built on a foundation of interference and broken promises. That is documented history. That is in every credible diplomatic record, and every single conflict since then has roots in that original violation of trust. So when young people today say enough, they are not being naive. They are being historically literate. And the anchor lands the final blow with the polling charts. Iraq's support went from 72% at the start down to 38% by the end. Afghanistan followed the same pattern. And the anchor asks, are all of these Americans ungrateful? It is the question that ends the debate. Because no, they are not ungrateful. They are awake. They watch the promises fall apart in real time, and they refuse to be fooled again. That is not disrespect. That is wisdom, and anyone who calls it ungrateful is just upset that the spell finally broke. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.